I know a lot about box time. When it comes to that confinement role, it don't matter if it was a 45-day sentence, a 60-day sentence, or over 230 days sentence. I know about that box. I've been through a lot when it came to it. I done seen some unbelievable and unforgettable events. Right now, y'all just sit back and tune in, and I'm going to break it down to y'all and let y'all see from my point of view some of the things that I actually went through and witnessed on my last time going to confinement while inside of the Florida State Department of Corrections. So sit back, enjoy, let's get it on.
Hold down, man. Suitcase this, my cell phone and my charger don't walk with a limp. Get it knocked off or missing, you gon' get it. Next time I see you ass, you gon' leave airlifted.
What's up, y'all? You already know, man. KFROG TV back in the building. Y'all make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can see it first. So, we're going to be speaking on the last time I was in confinement. The last time I was in confinement, it was my longest stretch I did, and it's actually what got me shipped from Charlotte, CI. I got shipped from Charlotte, CI for KFROG TV. I got charged with a cell phone, a 11-inch knife, a bunch of other shit. So I was in there for almost 200-something days. And I'm just going to break it down to y'all, basically like what I went through and how the box was part of my bid after this. Now, after you've been behind that wall so long and behind them doors, I'm going to give it a good 90-something days. You start seeing shit. I used to see things on the wall that weren't really there. I had over 20-something bunkies while I was at Charlotte CI in the box out of this stretch. 20-something people came in my room, got out, went to the compound, or got transferred or whatever it was. I was back there so long on this stretch that the officers used to be like, oh, there go our permanent. There goes our permanent. And there was nothing I could do about it. Normally, when you catch so much time in confinement like this, they'll ship you, Maybe halfway through it, they'll transfer you so that way, they get some of it out of you. Because you can land at another camp and they don't have to put you in confinement. They can put you straight back on the compound. So they'll make you usually do half of the time in confinement if they're going to ship you, and then transfer you. So that way, if they do let you out at your next camp, they did get some of it out of you. Me, I had 240 days to do in confinement, and I was back there 230 at Charlotte. And then got shipped, went through South Florida Reception Center in confinement for a week until I got transferred to my new camp, and then I finally hit the compound at DeSoto. Now, the things that you go through in confinement, is, food-wise, them bucking you on showers. You see people, steady getting gassed, hit with pepper spray. People steady cutting themselves. You see just so many different things go on. People flooding the cells. And it's literally a jungle back there. Now, I remember, you ain't got nothing to do in there but talk. All you could do is sit in there and hang out and talk. Y'all take shifts at it, basically. Some days y'all both be up and about, talking back and forth. Or some days you might be laying on your bunk, he's walking back and forth talking. And then, or it might be you walking back and forth while your bunkie's laying down and you're the one talking. It all just depends, you got to adapt with the person that you were living with. It's easy to be in prison around people because you only got to deal with the person in your room majority of the time. Now, as far as confinement, you live with that person. You're in the cell with that person 24/7. It isn't like you get to come out of the cell or anything like that. In prison, you do not come out of your confinement cell except for Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 3 times a week. And that's when they handcuff you and escort you to the shower. You shower 3 times a week in confinement. The rest of the week, you're straight locked in there. Everything comes to your room. Your trays, the nurse if you're on meds, anything. You were literally stuck behind this door with nothing but your bed, a toilet, and a sink for however much time they actually give you. Now, after you've been back there 30-something days, you qualify to go to rec. They're supposed to give you 2 hours of rec a week. It's either 2 or 4 hours. At Charlotte, they were bucking us months at a time. You know, you might not go to rec. You might do a whole 90 days back there in confinement and not was able to go to rec one time. That's just how they do it. So, and then they bring you out in the rec cages, and it's a little cage with a dip bar. Now, a lot of people like confinement. Some people don't like confinement. I was back there so long that I adapted to it. Like, you know, the officers might come around and they might want to change your room, you know, because you're compatible with someone else now, you know, so they might want to move your room. You don't want to be the one that cuffs up and moves your room, so you're like, hell nah, Sarge, I ain't cuffing up. Whoever y'all trying to move, you feel me? Y'all move them in this room. I'll let them in the room, but because you have to cuff up and be willing for them to put someone in your room. They cannot just open that door, you know, so you could get a DR if they're really a dickhead and want to give you a DR, you know, for refusing a bunkie, you know, because there's been plenty of them, you know, like they'll come to your door, hey, cuff up, you got a bunkie, and you look out and you see who it, hell no, man, you ain't putting that clown in here, you know, shit like that. There's been plenty of them. You know, I'm known for refusing bunkies. If he look like he's, you know, he ain't a solid individual, or he look like, you know, that he on some, you know, funny shit, I'm not letting him in my room. You know, that's simple. Because when you're in the room with someone that's living on some funny shit, it makes you look like that. You know, like for instance, these gang members. Gang members ain't allowed to have, you know, someone that's gay in their cell. They gotta refuse the bunkie. Or they gotta, if they get put in a cell and the dude ends up being one, they gotta make him check in and get off the door. If not, before the lights go out. Because that's how it reflects on him with his brothers, you know. So, you don't want that going around and it making you look like that if that ain't how you is, you know. So, people refuse bunkies all the time. Certain officers will write you a DR for it. Now, I never forget they brought my dog Owen. When they brought my dog Owen, he came to confinement from the compound. They put him right up under me. When they put him under me, the cell right under me, I was on the top tier. You know, we could talk to the vent 24/7. But once they put my dog under me, until they shipped him, I told him, boy, I ain't moving my room. I ain't letting them move my room until you're shipped. And he'd wake up in the morning to hearing the alarm going off. I'd yell at him and say, boy, pick your shit up. Boy, get your shit off the floor. I'd flood my cell, all types of shit, and make the police run it. And make them have to do paperwork for trying to even move my cell. You know? Like, when people come to confinement, they come to confinement so often that if I'm in the cell with you and you get out, now you're on the compound, now I'm in here by myself. Okay? Now, there might be 2-3 other people whose cellmates also get out. But when you first come to confinement, you're administrative confinement. That means you're not sentenced on your DR yet. So they can't put you in the room with someone that is DC confinement, which is already sentenced from DR court. You know, DC confinement, they already been sentenced. So since I've been in there already and my bunkie got out, I'm DC confinement. So anyone that's new that comes to confinement with a fresh DR, they can only be put in the room either by themselves or with someone that's already on AC confinement. So they always tend to try to move people back to the compound and then try to like, well, that room's only got 1 inmate and that room only got 1 inmate. They're both DC confinement. Let me see if they're compatible. And then they'll try to move this person and put him in there with that. And then, you know, nobody wants to move where they're comfortable at, and especially into someone else's cell. You know, here I done been in this shit 60 days, 70 days, you know, and I'm just going to pack my shit and go move in someone else's room. It don't work like that, you know. So when they moved my homeboy down there, he was going to get transferred. You know, he ended up, you know, stomping one of his own brothers into a coma. So they put him under me, and he was about to be transferred. But it took like 60-something days. And I constantly would I started bucking rec. I didn't go to rec for them 50 days because they were trying to get me to get out of my cell in order to not bring me back to my cell, to just move me while I'm at rec. They were going to move all my property to another room, and then when I cuff up, bring me to the other, you know, shit like that. So I started bucking rec, you know. But the night shift was cool. They don't really do moves like that at nighttime, so I was able to shower on shower days. Of course I went and showered, but on rec days it was first thing in the morning, and that was the shift that would try to do the moves. And they don't do no moves on weekends, you know. But anyway, so I hung out with my dog. I remember so much different shit, like, you know, just they take you out of your cell, you know. They do haircuts. They do haircuts. It's supposed to be once like every 60 days. It's supposed to be like once every 30 days, but when they do haircuts, you know, they'll skip you. They go from room to room. You want a haircut, That's when they actually will bring you out a different timing than just the 3 showers a week. They'll let you get your haircut. Now, you got people that, you know, steady running it with the police. You watch them gas each other like left and right. Like, officers will come in there and they'll shut the vents off, the ventilation vents, and they'll gas the whole quad just because a couple people are acting out. You know, like, it's just crazy. Like, it's so inhumane back there. Like, the trays, like when them trays come, they bring the food cart and they leave the food cart on the outside of the confinement building. So they have the food cart is sitting out there in the sun. You know, and everybody be banging on the door. Man, where them trays at? Where them trays at? Screaming and banging. Bah, bah, bah. Where them trays at? Where them trays at? They just leave them out there. By the time you get your food, it's cold. You know, even though it's been sitting out there in the sun, the cart's been sitting out there in the sun. But it isn't no longer a hot plate. You know, but it's your bread done been sitting in the vegetable juice, and your damn cake, you know, the icing's all stuck on the lid, because on the bottom of your tray, because they stack the trays. The bottom of one tray is the lid to the tray under it. And when they take it out like this, it takes all the icing off the cake that was on the tray under it. So when you get it, you might not know no better, and you put that tray on your lap and go to eat. When you're done, you got cake icing all on you. You took the cake icing off that other tray that was under yours. You know, like that. And it's just crazy. Like, I will never forget, like, I was back there so long, and I used to say to one of these officers, I'm like, man, Brooks, why they ain't let me out, man? They letting all these other people out. You know what I'm saying? These other people got 60 days, 90 days, and they getting out like 50 days early because they started releasing people earlier because they needed to bring the new people in. There were so many stabbings and stuff going on that they had people back there for 60 for cell phones, or, you know, 60 for Tunchi, or different shit like that. 30 days for fighting. You know, different shit, to where they just started releasing people because they needed space for the real serious shit that was going on. And I used to say, damn, Brooks, why they ain't let me out, bro? And he'd be like, because all these people are telling, Frog. You the one that ain't telling. That's why you back here hanging out with us for the long haul. All these people back here, man, that are going out, they telling, Frog. I'm like, that's crazy, dog. And I was back there to where I adapted to it. I adapted to the box bid. I didn't know if I was going to hit the compound again, because in my mind, I'm like, man, if they were going to ship me, they would have been shipped me. That's how I was looking at it. Like, shit, once I hit past that first 100-day marker of being back there, I'm like, man, I done been back here 100 days. I'm like, if they were going to ship me, they would have been shipped me. You know, so I'm like, man, they going to make me ride this shit out. You know, they ended up shipping me. The buses left Tuesdays and came Tuesdays. They ended up shipping me my last Tuesday that I had in confinement. You know, so they actually got the whole stretch out of me, and they shipped me. It just sucks because when you're behind the door, there's really nothing you can do. You know, for instance, when I went to confinement, my cell phone that I had at the time, my jack that I had at the time, was in the dorm. You feel me? When it was in the dorm, I got caught up. I went to transition. I was supposed to be going home in like 100 days. You know, you start transition when you're about to go home. You know, when you have like 100 days or less. I was at the transition building doing my first day of transition. And the gang sergeant and them came and got me. They took me to jail for KFROG TV. And when they took me to confinement, my jack was still on the compound. So, you know, I sent kites like, man, send that over to the compound and shit like that. And within 5 days, my dog, he gave it to one of his brothers to bring back there to me. But they were playing around with it, fumbling with it, doing whatever it is they wanted to do. You know, this and that, taking their sweet ass time. And they ended up getting caught with it. And then they caught 60 in the box for it. You see what I'm saying? Now, me personally, I feel like they was trying to keep my phone. Just due to the fact that I never hit the compound again. I never was hitting the compound again. So there was really nothing I could do. I ain't in the gang. You get what I'm saying? So there's nothing I could do about it. I'm behind the door. But that isn't robbing, that's stealing. You see what I'm saying? They stole that from me, basically. Because there was nothing I could do, really. It ain't like they took it. Feel me? So they basically stole it from me. And then after like my first like 15 days in there, I ended up getting another jack from a dog downstairs. But he only had one, so I only got to use it for like as much as I wanted to and shit. But anyways, in 15 days, I got the jack from downstairs and I deactivated my jack, the one on the compound. I called and I deactivated it because once I deactivate it, it kind of puts a hold on, they're limited to what they can do with it. So, sure enough, the two came back in there with it. And I'm like, man, and I told them, like, bitch, you know, I hit the pound or whatever again, you gonna have to see me. I wrote a kite to their brother and told him, look, when I get out, your brother gonna have to see me if I hit that pound. He wrote back and was like, I called that, you good. He's like, you feel me? And you gonna get that, bro, you gonna get that. I'm like, all right, that real, you feel me? Like, but I never hit the compound again. And there was nothing I could do because I literally left it in the dorm with my hold down man. And then went to transition and got booked and got sent to confinement. So I was like, there's really nothing I could do. I had to take that one as a loss. Now, it was a good thing that I didn't have it either right away, because once I came to confinement for KFROG TV, the gang sergeant would come and flip my cell every 2 days. They'd come in there with a step ladder, unscrew the light, looking on the light, flip my whole cell and all that stuff, literally every 2 days. They were like, oh, he's got his own TV show. And they'd come in there and they'd flip my cell. They already heard what KFROG TV was. They heard all about it. And I went to confinement for it. And that's how I got shipped from Charlotte. You know? So, now, the thing about confinement is you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, you have people on the compound, you know, that are going to probably shoot you some food if they fuck with you. You know, shoot you some, you know, cigarettes or K2, whatever it is that you like doing. That shit's on the compound. But everything that's on the compound goes for double back there in confinement. Not canteen-wise, but as far as like tobacco and K2 and stuff like that. That shit goes for double in confinement. You could charge someone like a $2 drip, a $2 cigarette. Like, you feel me? A $2 chub. You could charge someone a chub just to give them a light. Like, just to pop a wick. Because you might have batteries and they don't, you know. So you spark a wick and you send it over to their cell and shit like that. And they feed you just enough to hold you until your next meal. Now, this is like on the compound I'm speaking on. Like they're meant to feed you just enough to where when your stomach growls, if you look at the time, it's chow time now. It's just enough. But in confinement, it's totally different. Your schedule's different. The lights come on as soon as it's early in the morning. Bam, you got the bright light on, and the walls are warm and hot. There's no AC back there. You know, it sucks whether it's winter or summer. I've been back there for the whole winter and for the whole summer before. You know, once at Calhoun and once at Charlotte, so I know the differences in the weather climate. You feel me? So it be freezing when it's winter. Because, you know, they got these heaters in the wall that don't work. And then it'd be hot as hell during the summer, you know. But I'll never forget, like, I came across some cool-ass people, you know. Everybody in confinement for all types of different reasons. And one thing about it, when I was in that box bed, my first room that they put me in, when I was in the confinement, I'd see the walkway to the chow hall and where medical was and all that, and I'd literally just sit there and watch people get wet every day. People get cut, wet, fight, people chasing people with knives, the officers chasing them. Like, it was literally like a front row seat to just watch that shit all go down from the window, you know. And people, like, officers will walk by and I'll be standing up like this with my head against the window, like looking out the window, like watching what's going on the compound. And then you see them coming in, because my quad was the quad they bring you in for confinement, and they stick you in the shower, and then they decide if you're staying in the quad or if they're going to put you in one of the 3 other quads, you know. But the first quad was the quad where they put you in the shower as soon as you come to confinement until they get everything settled. So it's like I was watching it firsthand out that window. You know, I had bunkies coming. I had some bunkies that never even hit the compound. That I had this old dude, he got shipped, and he came to my cell, and when he was in my cell, he was there for like a good 15 days, and then he ended up, like 2 weeks later, got back on the bus again and left. He was just passing through. I had this old dude from Broward County that's been locked up since the 70s. And he was telling me things about what was where in Broward County, where I'm from. And then I would tell him, oh, what's there now and all this shit. And he started crying. And I was like, man, old school, man, I ain't even going to be talking about this shit. You keep crying and shit. And he was like, it just breaks his heart because he's been gone so long. And it feels so good to hear it. So to me, it was like, damn, I'm learning the history from him. And he's learning the updated stuff from me. You know, so we were in there vibing. But the only thing was that sucked about having him as a bunkie is since he was so old, he had hemorrhoids. So literally like 15 to 25 times a day, he'd be like, I'm sorry, man, but you gotta cover up, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then he'd go or whatever, and then, you know, I'd get under the blanket real quick, you know, boom, let him go to the bathroom. You know, you can make a tent and shit like that. Some people make a tent, but he was so consistent with it. You ain't gonna sit there and want that tent shit every time. So, and he'd be like, man, it's just straight blood gushing out of me, man. I don't know what to do, man. And then the nurses were refusing to give him his the meds he needed. He said that there's this pill he gives him that clogs him up. He says it'll go away just like that, blah, 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 blah. So he was a tough bunkie to have on that note. But he was an old school dude, you know. He was pretty cool. Another time I had got a gang member in my room. And at first, you know, we were gonna fight because what happened was I was in the shower. They brought him to my cell. When they brought him to my cell while I was in the shower, you know, you're not allowed to have, of course, jacks. You're not allowed to have, you know, your shoes and or your MP, different things that you're not supposed to have in confinement. I had. So while I'm in the shower, they bring this white boy to my cell and put him in my room. Well, they're not supposed to do that while I'm in the shower, you feel me? But they did. They put someone in my room while I was in the shower. So he uncuffs, boom, he uncuffs, whatever. Now he's in the cell or whatever, and he looks, he sees some brand new fresh pair of Reeboks, all white, which I ended up getting from a bunkie I had that ended up having like a Molly problem. He smoked Mollies, and I ended up, boom, getting some shit off the compound, boom, boom, boom. I said, I got you. I said, for your Reeboks. And then I got him those because when I got transferred, I wanted to get transferred with shoes on, just in case I had to get in anything. I didn't want to get transferred with Crocs or boots. You know, I wanted some fresh, all white, cocaine white Reeboks, and he had a pretty decent pair on, you feel me? So I got them from my old school, from my bunkie. So I had a clean pair of Reeboks. I had my MP on pause, sitting on top of my bunk with my book of raps. And then they put him in my cell. So now when I come to get out of the shower, you feel me? He can literally rob me for everything because he ain't got to cuff up. If he don't cuff up, they're not opening that door. You know, they're not going to let me get my belongings. You see what I'm saying? So, like, while I was in the shower, I found this out from Adult O that was downstairs. White boy get on the window. He like, hey, bro. Hey, check this out. Hey, who's in 3 top? Who's in 3 top? Because we was in 3 top. But he was asking everybody on the window, hey, I just got in here. Who's in 3 top? Who my bunkie is? Asking who his bunkie was, you feel me? And then they were like, and then my dog got on the window and was like, nigga, and this and that, you feel me? He was a GD. My dog downstairs was a king, you feel me? So my dog got on the window and was like, oh, boy, it ain't nothing about fraud, bitch, you tripping, nigga. Boy, we'll rock out, boy. So then all the guy that gets in my room, a white boy named Spot, all of his bunkies, his brothers, get on the windows from all the different cells and like, bitch, that's fraud, boy, you tripping. That fraud, bitch, we fuck with fraud. He like, oh, I'm saying, though, this white boy got Reeboks and MP, all this shit, boy, who this is? And I don't know any of this is going on. I'm in the shower, like I said, which is down on the top tier. I'm in my own little cage shower, you feel me? So you can't hear what goes on out the windows. So he like, oh, I'm saying though. So all his brothers started telling him, bitch, a war finna break out. Boy, you tripping, that fraud. And they knew, at the time that I had different gang members from all different sets that were gonna rock behind me, you feel me? So he like, oh, all right, say no more. So I don't know any of this is going on, like I said. So when I come up to the door, I'm in handcuffs. He leaning on the door. He like, nah, I ain't cuffing up. You feel me? So in my mind, I'm like, damn. I'm like, his own brothers, if I didn't know he was a gang member or none of this shit. You feel me? I didn't know any of this shit. But if he didn't cuff up and let me in there, that was stealing though. That wasn't robbing me. Because you literally, that was stealing from me. You didn't take that. You feel me? So he like, oh, I ain't cuffing up. So I look at him and I size him up through the little window. He like, I'm just fucking with you. And he cuffed up. And they put me in the cell. Now, when they put me in the cell or whatever and this and that, I got a kite from my dog downstairs. When I got the kite from my dog downstairs, he told me everything bro was saying on the window. My other dog, that was a blood, that was down there on the other side of the quad, he sent me a kite. Told my boy, what's up, bro? Like I had 2 different sets. I had the Z's across from me signing me. The Zoes from down south. I'm a Broward baby, boy. That's where that shit originated at. You feel me? So there was 3 different gangs that was hit me up like, boy, what's up? Boy, what bro talking about? You good? You this? So then I'm like, once I found out, and I asked him like, hey, bro, what's up, nigga? What you was saying on this window, bro, when I was in the shower? You feel me? And he was like, oh, bro, I ain't gonna lie, dog. You feel me? I ain't know who you was. And this and this and this and that, this and that. So I told him, you got to grid me. Straight up. Because you got, like, even though he ended up being cool as fuck, I told him, you got to grid me. Just due to the fact that these other people that fuck with me heard that. And they reaching out to me like, you good, babe? What's up, bro? What's up, babe? You give me the word? Stuff like that. So to me, I don't want to look no kind of way when I know I'm living like that. So he had to grid me, And he was like, damn, I fuck with you though, bro. You feel me? And I'm like, man, fuck that. So then after that, all of a sudden it's, you good, big bro? You feel me, big bro? This, big bro, that. Now he's calling me big bro. You feel me? So I had him in the box with me for a little while. And that was actually my last bunkie from when I got shipped from Charlotte. He wanted to get shipped because I was getting shipped. He was so mad, like, man, I'm getting shipped. If you get shipped, bro, I want to get shipped, bro. I don't even want to be here no more. Like, he got attached to me like that with my dog, you feel me? And I had 8 sardines my whole prison bid. I never liked sardines. I'd use them for fun. Like, I would get a pack of them from people, and I would slide them out from under my door out there in the middle of the quad and see people out there trying to fish and grab them and everything. I say, free fish on the market. Free fish on the market. Shit like that. And everybody be out there trying to get in shit with their fishing lines and shit. And then, but I got him in the hole. We were betting on something. And I got him in the hole and he owed me like 16 trays. But he was on RDP, which is also known as CFO. RDP is Religious Diet Program. So he didn't get a regular tray like us. He got a brown paper bag. And it would come with like a bag of cherry tomatoes, like a little sandwich bag of cherry tomatoes, a pack of sardines, and then like a cup of beans with a lid on it. That was like what he would get. Shit like that. And But his breakfast trays is the ones I used to get from him, because he'd get like a banana and he got cereal and powdered milk. See, we don't get cereal and shit like that on the compound. You don't get that for breakfast. So I started getting them for his breakfasts, but then I realized, like, damn, by the time I end up leaving here, you know, I ain't gonna be able to collect it all. So I was like, you know what, I'll just take the lunch tray also, and then I'll just have fun, entertain the quad with the sardines. But one day he was eating them, and he talked me into trying them. Like, I wouldn't even eat a goulash if I knew sardines was in it. Like, tuna and mackerel's fire, but sardines, I wasn't with it. So I tried the sardine or whatever, and it was fire. So after that, I was like hooked on them. So then I like lived off them shits after that. Like, you know, to this day I don't live off of them, but I could eat sardines. You know, I like them. You know, either on a cracker with mustard. That's how he had to eat it in there. Was on, because he got 3 little packs of crackers, saltines, with 2 in each one, so 6 crackers, you know, in the pack of sardines. And we would put it on a cracker and mustard. And then at breakfast, he also got the jelly that came with the cereal. And then I'd put the jelly on the cracker. So it'd be jelly, sardine on top of a cracker. Believe it or not, if you like sardines and you're watching this video, go try that. Try a saltine with a sardine on it and jelly. And I guarantee you won't be let down. You know? And I found out when I came home from my mom that my grandmother used to eat it like that. She used to eat it with crackers and jelly. And it's fire, believe it or not. Now, so I got hooked on the sardines. I started eating the sardines a lot. And I remember being in there at, you know, 4 o'clock, 5 in the morning. All the lights are out. You know, the way it was at Charlotte. As soon as the lights go out, you got the light up here on this side of the wall. As soon as the lights go out, bugs come down. Cockroaches. They had German cockroaches everywhere. The German cockroaches come out of the light. They start coming down the wall. And then on this side where your bed at is, they go up the wall. Like they come from the bunk and the light. And they like shift like this. And then I caught a mouse. Because at Charlotte, they got a lot of rats and mice inside of confinement. Once the lights go out, they all come out. You see them. They run around. You know, they run all on the top tiers. Sometimes we've even seen them run and get on the edge. And like the officer will be doing his rounds with a light. And they'll get so spooked, they'll jump all the way off. And you'll hear them smack the ground and get up and run under the door. So people stuff their door, you know, whether it's with shirts or even their pill sheet, because some people get like a sheet and it's got like pills for high blood pressure and different things. Like you pop them out of the foil. They give you like 10 of those with a rubber band around it. People stack that along the bottom of their door because even though you got the guard, the wire guard, so you can't fish and you can't get shit up under the door, it's still to where the mice can go under there. And no matter what it is, they'll come get it. Like I woke up in the morning one time and I had a loaf of bread in there. They got me for a bunch of my bread. I had like 10 soups, like so much canteen to where you'll wake up, you'll like get woken up and you'll hear shh, and you'll go and then it'll stop. And then when you jump off your bunk, you won't see nothing because you're in the dark now. You'll wake up the next day and there'll be literally like a hole in every single one of your bags of soups. You know, like I remember laying there on the bunk and looking, and you'd see the mouse come under the door, but now it's dark, so you're seeing if it's really him, and then bam, he's over here. Bam, and then he's gone. You know, so since I was on the top bunk, I like the top bunk. So since I was on the top bunk, because in confinement we were able to pick our bunk unless someone was already in there. Me, I picked which one it was. Even when I didn't have a bunkie, I slept on the top bunk. The bottom bunk was wide open. That was like my bench during the day where I'd hang out. But on the top's where I slept. I wanted to be farthest away from the bugs and mice as I could when I was sleeping, you know? So, there's holes under the metal that you sleep on the top bunk. So if you flood it, the water doesn't pile up inside the metal. It goes through the holes and it'll leak on the bottom bunk. Well, I tied my canteen bag through the holes Shoot, I put like a knot to where it hung, and all my canteen was there hanging in the air, so nothing could like get it, you know. But like, anyway, so the way I caught my mouse, I named him Oatmeal because that's how I caught him. What I did is I grabbed my blanket and I rolled it up. When I rolled my blanket up, it was like long, like it was just rolled up, and I had it above the door. This is at nighttime now. I had it above the door, and I tied my string to where my shit was hanging above the door. Now, it wasn't a perfect plan, but it worked. Once I was laying there, going to sleep and everything like that, because like I said, you see the mice run. You know, you'll see them run under that person's door, run under that person. They control the quad as soon as the lights come out. There's these PVC pipes that they run on top of, be big ass ones too. You know, the officer used to say, he'll give you extra tray for a week if you catch one, if you kill one. So I caught one, and the way I did is when my shit was up there rolled up like that, I was laying on my bunk. When that motherfucker came inside that cell, and I seen he was inside the cell, soon as he went under my bunk, I pulled the thing. When I pulled it, the whole blanket thing fell. And when it fell in front of the door. He could have still got out. But when he ran, he didn't see that he could have still get out. It didn't fall perfectly under the line of the door. It just fell, and he ran back under the bunk. So it gave me time to jump down, and I stuffed the blanket under the door, you know, to where the officers come around and they look, everyone's got something stuffed, like they're not trying to have no mice or nothing come in there. And me, I stuffed it in there and waited till the lights turned on at breakfast, and I caught him. Then I had him inside the canteen bag, my second canteen bag, hanging up. I had him. I named him Oatmeal, showed him to the officer and all. But I didn't get a second tray because I got a second tray the first day. I didn't get it after that because the officer wanted me to kill him. And I didn't want to kill him. Shit, I've been back here in the box, man. I'm hanging out. You know what I'm saying? It's my little dog now. You know what I'm saying? But his name was Oatmeal, and I left him to my bunkie when I got transferred from Charlotte. It's just crazy because it's like, there's some nasty shit that goes on in confinement. And like I said, after you're back there a good 90 days, you start seeing shit. Like you'll look up at the roof and shit, and you'll see things tingling and moving that ain't really there. And that's what it is. You'll count the cinder blocks, you know. You get a different number every time you count them. You know, and that's what it is. But I'll never forget what I went through. Because I lost so much weight back there, and I was eating so much. You know, people were sending me stuff from the compound. Every time they come to hand out trays, I had a loaf of bread getting shoved in my flap. A whole loaf of bread. Exclusive bread. I'm talking about, I used to get these English muffins sent back there. These English muffins I used to get were pumpkin flavored. I used to get this bread that was like, it was like a real deal loaf like on the streets. It was like this, and it was thick slices of like raisin cinnamon swirl with icing and all this different shit, like all that. And I used to get like peanut butter. I'd get a whole cup of peanut butter wrapped in saran wrap sent to me from the chow hall and all that. And I was eating peanut butter and bread. You know, like, I know the struggle. The real struggle was my sugar sandwiches, you know. And these are fire. Like, I'd eat them on the streets. And all it is, like I said, my bunkie used to get that bag. So inside the bag, but also on the breakfast tray, you get like a little scoop of butter. You know, you get like a little, it's margarine. But the ones in the bag, they get the little, where it's the paper with the piece of butter and then the paper again. They get two of those. See, on the regular trays, you just get like a scoop of margarine. So you literally just put bread on butter and put sugar on it. A packet of sugar. Like straight up, just put bread and put the butter on the bread and put sugar on that, and like a lot of sugar, and then fold it and eat it. And tell me that shit ain't good. Them are sugar sandwiches, and I lived off those. Those and water biscuits. For those that don't know what a water biscuit is, it's a cup of water. Those are like survival things. Those are like, boy, because you're going to be hungry. You're going to be hungry. Like, it was to the point to where I used to eat my ramen noodles raw, because I felt like it filled me up more once it blowed up in me. Once the soup swelled up like it does when you add water, I'd eat it raw, straight dry, no season, no nothing. And then after that, it would fill me up the best every time. I remember it was 3 o'clock in the morning one time and I was fishing downstairs. I'm a pro at it. I'm going to put a video together on this fishing shit. You feel me? So any of them other YouTube people watching, them, don't be trying to steal my ideas. You feel me? But I used to make my ramp to where I can sling my car, which was connected to my fishing line, and it would go over and it'd go boom, and then I'd make it, and then I'd dangle it like this, and it would swing over it'd be over the rail hanging, and I'd make it swing as I'm dangling it, and then when I go like that and it swings out, when it comes back in, I let it go so it'll swing all the way under and hit the door, and then the people under me will grab it, tie shit to it. I never forget it. 3 o'clock in the morning, my line broke, because people's lines break all the time. My line broke. I had a milk on there, a peanut butter pack, and some oatmeal, and it busted. But the officer walked around. I'm like, hey man, Sarge, man, you can't go get my food, man. My dog down there trying to send me something to eat. After like 5 times, he's like, yeah, I got you. Remind me of my next rounds. It's just laying out there. I'm like, bro, you're walking by it as you come over here to see us every time. He eventually brought it and dropped it on the ground. The milk was busted. It was all wrapped in string and shit like that. But I still got it in there, and I got to eat the oatmeal with water with peanut butter squeeze in it at 3-something in the morning, because you don't always have food back there. And this is the thing. Even if you always do have food back there, it's going to go like this, because when you're bored, you eat. You know, when you're bored, you eat. Man, I had chicken being sent to me on chicken day. Like I said in prior videos, you don't get chicken in confinement on Tuesdays like you do every other time, you know. But me, I had chicken. I get a plate with 3 chickens on it and some fried rice. They don't serve fried rice. That was exclusively made. They serve just regular rice. But it'd be fried in the kitchen with 3 chickens, and that motherfucking tray, when I get it, would say frog on it. Like straight up, every Tuesday like clockwork, my chicken came back there. People fuck with me, you know what I'm saying? And that was my longest bid, my last box bid. Like I said, it was 200 and something days, and like it's like it went by so slow, you know. Like I had so many, you know, cigarettes and K2 I was serving to everybody, you know, but it went by so slow back there. And then I actually found the rules and the ways to beat the system, like to eat, to make money, to get food from the compound, everything. I finally, you know, had it all broke down to where it was to the point to where every day people were yelling KFROG, KFROG TV, KFROG. When they do rec, you got to walk through other quads, other confinement quads, and everyone be yelling KFROG TV. This, like I had the whole shit going wild, banging on doors. Boom, boom, boom. I go to the rec cage. Everybody screaming KFROG, KFROG TV, KFROG. Like everyone. Even in Volume 1 and Volume 2, you hear people in the background and some of the clips yelling KFROG, hey, KFROG, in the middle of me recording videos. You know, like it got to the point to where they all respected what I was doing as a white boy that was unaffiliated. I stood out. You get what I'm saying? Like, I stood out. And it was like, I carried myself different, to where it opened the eyes to people, to where they realized, people who hate white people, they opened their eyes and was like, I like that white boy right there. You know, like that's just how it was. Like they were like, that white boy right there cool as fuck. You know, like I just carried myself different, you know. And I'll never forget, you know, all the times that I was in the rec cage, you know. I remember one time I was out there in the rec cage and I broke a piece off the fence, like for a poker. And when I broke it off or whatever, the officer walked by and he goes, cuff up. And I'm like, what you mean cuff up? He's like, cuff up. He's like, this wasn't like this. And he starts pointing at the gate. Cuff up. I said, that ain't not, what are you talking about, man? That shit was like that, man. You tripping. He's like, I got something for you. And he walks off. When he walks off, he's already escorting 2 inmates back to their cell from the cage next to me. So as he's walking, the other 2 are walking, I handed the piece of the metal to the other inmate. I said, bro, bring this back to the dorm for me. He looks at me, he grabs it by his hand, and no lie, cheeked it. Swoop! and just kept walking. I started laughing. I'm like, damn, I didn't expect him to do that, dog. And you know what I'm saying? And my other dog I was talking to in the cage, we were back there laughing like, what the fuck? Like, bro, I was not expecting him to do that, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a goon on the compound. Like, bro, it was just my dog. He was like a smacker. But I wasn't expecting that. You know, like, he just, whoo. I'm like, what the? Like, because his hands were cuffed behind his back. So when I handed it to him, I guess that's the only place he could put it. I thought he would have, like, hit it with his hand or something. You know what I'm saying? Like this. Like, if this was it, I thought he would, like, hide it with his hand or something. He didn't. He swoop. You know, that shit just threw me. I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it was just, I'll never forget, man. Like, I seen, you know, them beat inmates and get away with it. It took them 3 hours to release me from confinement one time because they was in my quad beating up and gassing all these other inmates. You know, I'll never forget the time, this is still on my last box bid, when these two dudes decided to have a run out with the police. And it took like 9 hours. They couldn't even get the distraction team in there. These two dudes, they busted the sprinklers, they loaded up, they took all the gas that they were allowed to spray them. They literally got to wrap chains around the doors, and they got to pry the door open. They got to pull the door back with the chains while the officers run in with the shields, you know, and shit like that. And then they kept trying to run in there, but these inmates were working together and had their mats up against the door. And when they would try to open the door, they'd shove the mat. Like they were trying, like, it took like that long for real. And then when they got in there, they finally beat the hell out of them two inmates. And then they moved them to Y dorm, and then they emergency transferred them. You know, like, all types of shit, man. Like, I remember when, on this bid in the box also, I remember when, I needed to get on the jack, and there was no jack inside this quad. Me, since they kept flipping my cell every couple days, the gang sergeant, I knew it was dumb to get another one. So I didn't want to get another one. That's what made this to where I was forced without a phone. After my last one got stole from me, I was forced without a phone this whole entire box bid because I could not get one due to the fact that it would have been dumb. Because it was like, here, I'm already sentenced for my DRs. They might not ship me. If I get caught with another one, I'm definitely getting shipped. So instead, I would just use people's phones then. You feel me? And I remember when I got my dog's phone sent up there to me and I was hanging out, like, on the phone. And I'm on the jack, and the gang sergeant walks, like, on the outside of the window. And I'm standing there. And then I look out the window. I don't even say nothing. And as he's walking, he's talking to another officer. He looks up and he goes, "Oh, KFROG, yeah, we're on our way up there." I'm like, oh, shit. So, boom, I'm like, hey, da-da-da-da. I get on the window and call my dog. I'm like, bitch, send your line, send your line. So he was like, huh? I'm like, bitch, send your line, send your line. I get on the vent. I call my dog next door. Hey, send your line over here, send your... And like, I was on timing, boy. And then I had put it in my eyeglass case. Swoop. And wrapped that bitch up, whatever, with the string or whatever, and banged on the fucking wall and had him pull it out. And it went swoop right under the door. They pulled it into the next cell. But the next cell already had the line sent to him from someone in an angle, because it was on the top tier where the aisle goes like this and the aisle goes like this, but then it curves in the corner. So the dude over here sent his line over there, so it went right next door, and then it got taken from there across. Just like that. They came in there, they flipped my cell and my neighbor on the right and my neighbor on the left. Like, I almost got caught, boy. Like that. You know, like, I seen them do some grimy shit when I was in confinement. They found phones in someone's cell before, and they literally took them and then give them two dudes a DR, and then went to the next quad and planted them on someone else just to get them off their compound, like inmates they don't like and shit like that. Like, man, I had it all back there. I had people sending me ice cream, popsicles, hot sandwiches, like from the canteen, big-ass chicken sandwiches, cold cans of Sprite and Coke, like shit like that. There was an old file cabinet that they took out of an office and had it sitting dead-ass in the middle of the dorm on the bottom tier over there, like on the side against the wall. And then people, my orderly that I was cool with, well, I was cool with all of them, but the orderly would come in with a bomb and he'd be like, "Frog, hey, Frog." And I'd get up and I'd go to the door and look, and he'd show me a canteen bag filled with canteen, Then he'd show me another bag, like you could tell it's from the kitchen and all that, and he'd open the file cabinet, stick it right there and close it. And then when the officer come through and they pop the flap for trays, because they go around, they unlock each one, open the flap, go to the next one, open the flap, and then they got these inmates handing out trays but they close your flap when you're eating. Sometimes they'll leave it open, sometimes they don't. They'll just close it and lock it, you know, but they won't put the actual master lock on it. So I'd always, like, around lunch tray time, boom, when the officer's not looking, he might be upstairs, or the inmates are walking around like they're getting the trays, they'd grab them bags for me, and they'd come and they'd stick them in my flap. You know, shit like that. One time, too, I'm not sure if I told this story before or whatever, but I was ordering a bunch of cheese squeezes and peanut butters, because you only get to order once every 2 weeks. You know, you get to order 5 food items and 5 non-food items. And I ordered like 10 cheese squeezes or some shit like that, and all of a sudden when they came to pass the canteen out, they gave me 10 packs of batteries. Like, how do you miscalculate 10 cheese squeezes to 10 packs of batteries? Like, they knew, and I had a jack in the box at the time, my phone. So that was like a red flag, because you can't even buy that many on the compound. You're only allowed 2 packs of batteries per swipe. And if the canteen man catches you getting back in line, like, you can't just swipe, buy 2 packs of batteries, something else, and then go in line again and do it again. They're fishy about that. They won't allow you to hit the window again and buy batteries. That's how they are. So 10 packs of batteries, I knew once the canteen man's boss man, which was an officer, did inventory and seen, you let this inmate buy 10 packs of batteries? Oh, and this inmate's in confinement? What's he need 10 packs of batteries for? I knew they were going to come blitz my room. So I called my dog. He was a blood. And I sent my phone to him because it was a red flag. I knew something was fishy. Sent the phone to him. 20, 30 minutes later, I tell him, go ahead, bro. You hang out on that bitch for the night, bro. I'll get it back from you tomorrow. I got to be, you know, better safe than sorry. Right after all that, bro, they come in there, flip my cell, looking for it. What are all these batteries for? And I said, Sarge, I meant to order cheese squeezes, man. It even showed it on my on my ordering sheet that you got to sign when they give you your canteen. You got to sign your signature. It even showed I ordered the cheese squeezes. I just ordered 2 packs of batteries. But instead, they gave me the opposite. They gave me 10 packs of batteries and 2 cheese squeezes. I'm like, look, there was a mess up. Look, they charged my account for it. So since they charged me, it's mine now. It's not like they can take them from me, which they could, because I'm not supposed to have it like that in confinement. But it shows I did pay for it, though. Because I'm like, damn, bitch, I spent, because it's $3 a pack. So I'm like, man, I spent $60 all together with the shit I ordered. You feel me? But that was a close call, you know. And, like, it's just crazy because, like, I seen it all, man. I seen officers come in there and like, go on strike against their own staff. Come in there, in the quad, turn their walkie-talkie off, and sit dead ass in the middle of the confinement quad. Just sit right there. I've even seen them knock over the food cart, knock all of our trays over, because they're having bad days. You know, gassing people on the house, so much different shit. You know, but one thing about confinement is it stimulates your mind. Believe it or not, you know. What I mean by that is it sucks while you're there, you know, and it kind of fucks you up, you know, messes your head up while you're there, you know. But then after that, you look at things different, and it kind of like opens your eyes to different situations, you know. And you know the saying, do the time, don't let the time do you. Okay, well, being in confinement, you doing confinement is the worst prison time possible there is. And CM, of course, which is like confinement, but you live there for a couple years, you know. I didn't get put on CM, but I did damn 8 months worth of confinement time, basically, you know what I'm saying, at once. But I did more than that altogether with my bid. I did a couple 60-day bids, 45 days, you know, shit like that. So I did well over time in the box as well. But how they say, do the time, don't let the time do you. By you doing box time or any time behind the door in general, you know, it makes it you tougher in your mind. You see what I'm saying? Because that's you doing the time, not letting the time do you. You see, it makes it to where you look at all other situations, you know, different now. You look at it like, Open Bay, of course, is Open Bay. That's like it's a gossip place. Everyone gossips. Everyone gossips. There's always something going down. People fight 24/7 in there. So many different incidents. People stealing and different shit. Like, it goes down in open bays as well. Just because it's open bay doesn't mean that shit pussy. No, because it does go down there. Shit does happen in open bay. Like, literally. I've seen some of the nastiest $150 cuts in open bay in general. You know? But as far as, like, living in a 2-man cell and it not being the box... Yeah, it's bad and it's tough, but you still get to go out on the compound. You still get to walk around, still get to do all different things. Being in the box, you don't. You live with an individual or you live by yourself behind the door. Like that right there, you got to cope with this little cell is your fucking domain and you got to make it work. You know, however it is, you got to make it work. You know, and it does get the best of you sometimes, but you got to just keep your head up and you gotta know you gotta go through this to get to where you're going. That's basically how you gotta look at it. So there's a breakdown, you know, of, you know, a lot of shit from my last bid in confinement. There's so much more, you know, to it. Like, as long as it was, I can't just speak on it all. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, there's so much more to it. That's just a little, you know, portion of it. You know, like, I got stories for days, you know, like the hurricane when I was there during the hurricane. The dude across from me ended up being a victim to, he got taken. You get what I'm saying? During the hurricane, and everyone thought, you know, he was banging on the door. He thought they were in there fighting, and really he wasn't. You know, that's what happened. They had this one dude in there named Gangsta. He had a life sentence. He was a little short black dude. And then they had this other tall-ass white dude that only had like 90 days left. And the little dude took the tall dude. And like, during the hurricane that passed when I was in the box, we had no electricity for 3 days. They fed us straight peanut butter sandwiches and carrot coins. They consider carrot coins as a dessert, which is just carrot cut up, so they're circular like a coin. You know, they fed us peanut butter and carrot coins for 3 days. We had no electricity. Our whole quad was flooded. We flooded that shit. Everybody flooded all their cells. They didn't even have no inmates working to clean it up or nothing like that. The nurse came in holding the kid up, saying that bro got taken, this and that. Y'all need to call Priya, blah, 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 this and that. How dare none of y'all say anything? Like, it's crazy the things that go down in prison, especially in confinement. 90 days left. This man had a life sentence, and that man that had a life sentence had a disease and gave it to that man, you know, and shit like that. So the way it just broke down. And then the guy Gangster had already been wed up at Charlotte. He was there 7 months before that. When I was on the compound, he was there. And he got wed up and got transferred. He came back to Charlotte, which they should have never reclassified him back to Charlotte because he was wed up there. And then they put him in confinement because he was a red flag on the compound. He wasn't allowed back on the compound once they realized, oh, he's been stabbed here before. Then they red flagged him and put him into confinement with a tall white dude that's supposed to go home in 90 days. And he had a life sentence. You know, even if they were compatible, Gangster should have never been sent back to Charlotte to where he had to get put in confinement with that dude. And then when they were taking that man out in handcuffs to bring him to the county jail for a new charge, the guy Gangster, he was laughing about it. Like crazy shit. There's so many different things that happen throughout my box my bid in the box. Like, I remember my dogs running in with the police in the cell next to me. You know, and I'm on my window watching the scene where the police are coming because they got their window covered up. The window and the door, they got their door covered up. So I'm yelling to them on the vent, telling them, hey, they coming right now. They got 5 more cans. Like, I'm telling them what they doing. You know, shit like that, putting them up on beat because at the end of the day, you're an inmate, they're an inmate, and that's your dog. You gonna ride for them because the things the police do, you don't believe in. You know, committing crimes ain't right. Don't get me wrong. As inmates, you know, committing crimes ain't right. It ain't like, oh, I'm sticking up for people who committed crimes. I mean, it is what it is. It ain't right. I'm not saying it is. But the things that these correctional officers do and get away with are committing crimes. And that damn sure ain't right. You feel me? But like I said, there's so much more to all my box stories. I just tried to put a video together for y'all. As you seen, I gave y'all about an hour with this video. But anyways, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in or whatnot. I'll try to drop a video for y'all tomorrow. You know, I'm just out here, spending time with my family and shit. But for the most part, like I said, I appreciate all my subscribers. Our next stop gonna be 50K. You know what I'm saying? And, until next time, man, everybody keep their head up. And you already know, man, fuck with me, this Frog.